Happy Monday. My name is Miles Bassett, and this is Ask Wildman. We're doing it a little bit different time this week, trying something else new. But we are still doing our live stream here. I think we're going to move it to Mondays here. We're just going to test out a couple of different times. So if you're surprised to see us now, here we are. So this is Ask Wildman, an open Q&A produced by Wildman Web Solutions. We are a digital marketing firm based here in Lawrence, Kansas. And every week, my team and I get on here to answer your questions. Basically, a year ago, a lot of people were getting online for the first time or suddenly really needed to leverage their online presence a lot more than they had prior to pandemic times. So we started getting a whole lot of questions about setting up a new website, about SEO, about starting to do some digital marketing. How do I advertise on Facebook? How do I advertise on Google? So we figured we'd just get on here every week and put the information out to the people, give you an opportunity to ask us any questions that you want. So if you have any questions about anything there, about technology, marketing, advertising, you just want to ask us how our day is going, please throw your questions in the comments below. We will be watching these comments live and answering any questions that come up here. But if you're not watching this live and you still want to get your questions answered, you can email us at askwildman@wildmanweb.com. I do have that address scrolling below me here. So just grab that, shoot us an email, and we will answer your questions next week. Okay, so getting to our Monday question and answer here, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my partner here. But, of course, as soon as I say that, he's going to take a drink. You ready for this? All right. There we go.
Good morning. Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. Without fail, as soon as I'm ready to pull you in, it's just like the worst time for whatever reason.
Cheers, Miles. Cheers. You got to be hydrated, especially on a Monday morning. So I'm putting them back, double fisting, if you will. I got a tall glass of water and a tall glass of coffee and ready to get down to this on a Monday. Yeah, let's do it, though.
Well, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
All right. So as the intro stated there, this is an open Q&A. So if anyone's out there watching, we are live streaming right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Make sure to follow us on social media. We'll update whenever we're doing this, and we'll put out a lot of really good information. All of our handles on everything is at WildmanWeb. I think I have a banner for that. Here we go. Yeah, follow us at WildmanWeb, and we put out lots of really good content like this and answer some questions and provide resources. But if you have any questions on any of this, please just throw it in the comments below. I'd love to open a discussion here with you, or just email us later. Okay. So I guess we'll give them a little bit here to start asking some questions. I see a couple of people coming in. What platforms are you on? Mostly Facebook. Then you get some more people over on YouTube at some point.
Yeah, step it up, YouTube.
All right. Well, you want to start off with a news update then? While
some news,
we're some questions,
yeah. Let's get into it. I guess this is mostly last week's news, but since we're starting on a Monday, but since we didn't do a stream last week, we haven't talked about any of this stuff, Miles. But yeah, some interesting things going on here. Since it's just about shopping season. Well, actually, I guess with the supply chain issues right now, this is shopping season. For those of you who don't know, yeah, if you're planning on doing your normal holiday shopping, you may be in for a rude awakening if you show up, around Thanksgiving or even into December and try to go into some of your favorite stores or even online to get some stuff, because there's going to be a lot of shortages. The shortages are already starting, which we've talked about, several times on the show over the past few months. Shortages in terms of supply, labor, and of course, ever-increasing inflation. All right, but that's not what we're going to talk about right now, Miles. We're going to talk about Macy's. We're going to talk about, that was a lead-in to one of our favorite department stores, good old Macy's, who we talked about maybe, was this about a year ago, Miles? I feel like this was almost about a year ago when Macy's had kind of a big overhaul and they really
Yeah.
went full into the digital space, and they created an app, and they created a whole marketing campaign around being digital. And this was a really big switch for them finally, to kind of come out of the dark ages. Well, they've launched a new app. They've updated their app, and I think that there was some really interesting features in it that I want to dig into here with you, Miles. So the headline is Macy's updates app launches live shopping. Joining other retailers in enhancing their digital presence, Macy's is updating its mobile app with a new design and navigation. The new app will it will allow shoppers to curate their personal style. Really interesting. Browse Macy's selections and create lists of their favorite products. The retailer also improved product filters, personalized recommendations, and streamlined the return process. We all know how exorbitantly painful that can be. For in-store shoppers, Macy's has added price checks, store maps, as well as product availability notifications, as well as a curbside pickup functions into the app. The retailer is also launching a weekly live streaming shopping experience called Macy's Live. They're basically going to have their own show, right? They're going to become a media company and actually sell things live through their app. They're not going to rely on a third-party platform to do that, which we all know that we can right now, but they're going to bring that in-house. They're going to get everybody to first download the app, engage with the app, and then get all their data into the app, find out what they like, and then of course they're going to use that for remarketing purposes. So real quick, Miles, I want to get your take on some of these updates here, but the ones that really stood out to me were, allowing a shopper to curate your own personal style. So it's basically, you're basically going to have a Macy's, attendant or whatever they call their employees, that help people pick out clothes inside the app, right? And it's like you can save those features. You can find out other things that will go with those type of outfits. You can really personalize what you want without having to ever walk into the store. I also thought it was really interesting, the streamlining the returns process. And then the in-store stuff as well. We think about this sometimes as just being something for when you're not in the store, but this is probably also employee related. They're having to leverage technology since they probably can't have as many feet on the floor, so to speak. They can't have as many people actually in the store to assist the buying, because that's what they're there for, right? It's like they're there to help make sure that people find everything they need. That's why they always ask you, did you find everything you needed today? Because that's my job, is to make sure that you found everything you needed and you bought the most you possibly can be. Well, if those people aren't there, you need another way to make sure that people can't not find something. Or what if something's not marked, on a price tag and they can't find anybody to get help with? What are they going to do? They're just going to leave it on the rack. Right. And so this is a great way, I thought, to help that sales process. And then, of course, curbside pickup and everything like that. But, that's kind of been the norm for over a year now. But what do you think about this? And how could some small businesses also leverage some of these ideas, Miles?
Yeah, I think this story kind of hits on a lot of the themes that we've been talking about for the last couple of months. I mean, that last one there on automation, or using technology to augment your staffing, to make your employees or whoever you have working here more effective at what they do. Hopefully take away some of the smaller mundane things and let them really shine and do what they need to do. So you can have fewer people staffing the floor at Macy's, and but those fewer people might actually be more effective at their job and be able to do what it is you hired them to do and not do a bunch of little things. So I think automation is a big one there. A couple of those are just playing into the convenience factor. You mentioned, streamlining that return process, or curbside pickup and things like that. It's just making it easier. We want to remove hurdles between the customer and you. We want to make it easy for people to give you money. Mm-hmm. And that's all they're looking for there. And we do talk about doing that a lot, just trying to be a little bit more efficient, make things easier for yourself as well as your customers. Um, yeah, I think that kind of hits all of the big boxes there in one story. They're just using technology to be more effective, to be more efficient, and to serve their customer base better. So that first one that you said, I think, is probably the most interesting, and that is just the customization. It's one
Yeah.
thing that I think we forget to talk about sometimes, and that is technology allows us to really customize the customer's experience. They walk in and they're going to get a unique experience crafted just for them, whether they're just on your website or using your app, or if they're actually physically walking into the store. You can use modern technology to cater to them specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we see that most commonly when we're doing advertising and we're trying to build out a customer avatar, or target a particular demographic or something like that, where we are trying to contextualize an advertisement and place it in front of them in a way that is more meaningful to that individual. But you can take that entire process, reverse engineer it, and stick it on any part of your business, anywhere in the funnel, or even some of your internal workings. Anything that you can do to customize and personalize an interaction is going to make everything more, I don't know, it's going to make that interaction stick. It's going to make it more
Yeah.
meaningful.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, Miles. I mean, not to get too deep into sales psychology here, but I mean, it's really where you're going is, possession is 9/10 of the law, right? We've all heard that saying. And, if you can visualize yourself being in possession of something, you're much more likely to buy it. So if you can really see yourself wearing that jacket or those jeans, you can really understand that, hey, this is something that I need. This is why when we go to a car lot, they always want us to test drive the vehicle, right? And then when we test drive, they ask us questions like, would this work for you on your daily commute? What would you like, the leather, or would you like this? Do you like this color green, or are you more of a blue, right? Like, they're always trying to get you to feel like, oh yeah, I have ownership of this. And so when we're talking about online e-commerce and digital sales, what's the biggest hang up? What's the biggest barrier? Well, there's really two. And it's the same thing. It's just two sides of the same coin. We're talking about clothes here. I don't know if I'm going to look good in that, right? When I'm in the store, I can put it on. I can go in the dressing room. I can, take some selfies, whatever, and like make sure before I buy it. Online, I can't necessarily do that. So the more that I'm able to personalize it, the more that I can overcome that objection. And the second thing is, well, what if it does look like crap when it shows up at my house? The return process, right? So they're taking care of that objection as well. We're going to make it very easy for you now to return this. That's why, Amazon made returns so easy, right? Is because they knew that was the biggest hurdle of somebody buying something online is, oh, what if it's not what I think it is? I look like some of those models, Miles, that they use in the Macy's catalog, but not all of them. Okay. And so, if you can put it into something that I can visualize myself being in, I have a much easier time of buying that. So that you nailed the head on that. Okay. And then one last thing here, we'd be remiss if we didn't dig into a little bit deeper is the whole aspect of the live show, right? So Macy's Live, they're launching, which is inside the app. So again, they're doing it on a native first party platform, not relying on something else like we're doing today on, Facebook, which you can do as well. But they know that, people buy things on an impulse. And so that's why the live, that's why Home Shopping Network and QVC and stuff like that are so successful, is because people like to buy, it's usually an emotional reaction, so when you're doing it live, you can do that. But I saw this was an interesting stat here at the end of the article, Miles. So this is just the e-commerce portion of Macy's business is up 45% from Q2 2019. So from a little over 2 years ago, they're up 45%. And the investors on Wall Street are estimating that Macy's e-commerce operation could be worth $14 billion. They're currently valuating the whole company itself at $6.9 billion. So it's twice. So they're saying that their e-commerce could turn into twice as much of the value of the entire company right And Nordstrom's already did this
That is
a
a
year.
smart move.
Yeah. And Nordstrom's already did this earlier, and they updated their app to have some of these same features. They're doing a live show, but this is big time, game shifting type of ingenuity and innovation that they're doing here, and it's going to hopefully reap big rewards for them. So I just wanted to point that out as well. Okay. If we don't have anything coming in, I'm just going to keep it rolling here.
Keep it going.
Okay. The next thing I wanted to get in here was DoorDash. Seems to be a recurring theme, these third-party companies. DoorDash beefs up its ad capabilities for restaurants and CPG brands. DoorDash today launches a suite of advertising offerings to help restaurants and CPG brands reach consumers on the delivery platform. Local restaurants can now use the self-serve sponsored listings that appear at the top of the relevant search results and only pay for ad placements that result in orders, not clicks or impressions. CPG brands can now boost placement and convenience at groceries and categories with featured listings. DoorDash is looking to generate additional revenue by building out its advertising capabilities as revenue growth has slowed from the highs reached during its pandemic peak. Okay, so I really like, and I don't know if they got into it. I don't think they did, what it costs, but I really like to know, what is the cost? What is the cut that they're taking there, Miles? Because I thought the interesting thing about this, it's not surprising, I guess, that they're trying to do this, especially since they need to build back up more revenue. People are going out to eat, thank God, again, and not only ordering delivery and curbside. So, but I thought it was really interesting that, this is typical, the typical advertising metric that people will use in terms of being charged are two. They're either an impression, meaning somebody sees your ad, or a click, meaning somebody clicks on your ad, and that's when us as the advertisers get charged for it. They've taken a little bit of a different model here, which I thought was interesting, that you only get charged when you actually complete a purchase, when you actually complete a sale. The question here, of course, the $100,000 question is, what is the percentage that they're going to take out of that? Because this could end up being a pretty big win for some of these small businesses, but it also could be a detriment. And so, before we give our endorsement to this platform here at Wildman Web Solutions, we'll want to know that part of it. But certainly an interesting development there, and it just goes back to this debate that we keep having: are you better off leveraging a third-party platform? Or are you better leveraging a first-party platform that you control? And, ideally you want to be doing both, of course, but, it's like, where do you want to put most of your eggs in which basket, I guess is the key question
like
here.
All of our answers are ands rather than ors, and that can be difficult to achieve here, but hopefully if you go about it in a smart way, you can make it happen. On stuff like this, I think it's a big question if we should use something like this. Like, do we have to go and reinvent the wheel? If there's a great tool like this out there, or a potentially powerful tool like this already out there, why do I need to build my own thing here? But then, we've been talking on this show for months at this point about not relying on third-party systems, on getting zero and first-party data, on not building your business on rented land, all these things we keep talking about every week, because you never know when those platforms are going to shift things up on you. You never know when Facebook's just going to turn off for a day. That was unheard of just a few weeks ago, but that is apparently an option. And even if it's not quite as drastic, maybe you are putting all of your advertising dollars into YouTube, and then YouTube changes its rules on you about who you can target or who you can display your content to. So who knows? One little thing like that that's completely outside of your control can completely turn your business on its head. And that's definitely something I could see happening here if a restaurant becomes too committed to this particular tool, or a tool like this, and then they shift something up. They end up taking an extra percentage point or something, and that can be very detrimental in an industry that is already operating on such thin margins.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess we have taken a stand on this in the sense that, we do think that you need to be doing some sort of a first party platform. That doesn't mean you have to replace your third party platforms. But you're really, really missing out if you don't. And I think the elephant in the room here is data collection, data usage.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of small businesses underestimate how powerful that is, Miles. And part of it is probably just a lack of education or a lack of understanding. How do I use that data? Let's say that I did build my own app and I did have my own, native first party infrastructure, and all my customers were coming directly to me and I was getting that data. How do I leverage it? And that's, probably something that, us and other people who have a little bit more of an understanding of this than the typical business person can be an asset to help educate that, because I think that is really, really important, because that's what these larger companies are doing. And that's what they're doing behind the scenes that we're not even seeing, in a lot of these articles. The competitive intelligence that you can get, the consumer insights that you can get are amazing. I mean, you can find out things like, is my company growing or losing versus the market share? What is the overall market share? How do I fit compared to my competitors? What do my consumers really want? What are they buying most? What are they not buying most? When are they buying it? All of these things that then if we understand how to use that data, can reverse engineer it to create some really, really powerful marketing and selling campaigns based on what they want. And so that's kind of the elephant in the room here, Miles.
We see all these tools and you wonder, like, hey, why is this thing free? Why are they giving this to me for free? It's not free. They're taking some sort of information from you, and that's valuable
Yeah,
to their business
I,
model in
I
one way or another.
I had this exact same discussion with a client just last week where they were saying, I won't say who it was, but they were saying so and so loves their blank product. I said, I'm sure they do, because it does the thing that they bought it to do. What they don't understand is that they're making that company rich off of their customers, because all the data from the local company is going to the not to the major third party company, and the local company is getting none of it. And so then that big company is then using that data to sell back to the local company's consumers, and the local company has no idea that this is happening, right? And like, they could be capturing that data and they could be using it to better serve their customers directly.
Yeah, they're
And
unknowingly, you can,
it's
if you're not careful, you can unknowingly cut yourself out of the deal.
yeah, it's the old saying, you don't know what you don't know, right? I mean, that's what's going on here. So, all right, we probably beat this horse to death. I'm gonna keep it going unless you got something else, Miles.
No, that's all right. Go for it.
Okay, here's a quick little addendum to a story. I guess, what was it, 2 weeks ago we did our last show, and I kind of
Mhm.
left it on a cliff there with this whole ulterior reality world, I guess, for lack of a better term, that Facebook has announced that they were investing tens of millions of dollars into creating. Metaverse is the term that we were talking about. It's basically, like a digital reality world that not just Facebook is creating, but Facebook is creating their own version of a metaverse. And I
Mhm.
saw this in the Wall Street Journal the other day, that Facebook hired 10,000 workers over in Europe to build their metaverse. So this is accelerating really quite quickly. Over the next 5 years, to build a virtual realm as it seeks as a key component of its future and major driver of new technology investment. The social media giant said Sunday it would embark on recruiting drive for highly skilled workers in the region to help build up a metaverse, an online realm where users engage with one another using technologies including virtual and augmented reality. So yeah, they're saying that in the next 5 years that they're hoping to have this thing ready to go and roll out. So, I think we were talking about uh, the recent Facebook news and everything, and how we tied into this. And I was saying, they're already building out the next Facebook pretty aggressively as we sit here and wonder how to change the original one. So just an interesting step on that, Miles, I wanted to give people an update on. But okay, here's another one. our old friends. I guess we can't call them from China anymore since they got bought out. But TikTok.
They're still partially China.
Yeah, they are still. Yeah, they are still. I think it's kind of like a hybrid now. I was going to say our friends from over there in China, but TikTok adds a roster of sound partners to emphasize audio's role in marketing success. TikTok unveiled a slate of 6 new sound partners for its marketing partner program as the video sharing app expands the initiative to put a larger focus on audio. Each of the companies joining the roster falls into one of 2 categories: custom sound, where they'll help advertisers create their own tracks to use in campaigns, hashtag challenges, and other TikTok marketing materials, and subscription sound, which is centered more on licensing agreements for pre-existing assets like music and sound effects that can be leveraged on a monthly or yearly project basis. We've certainly talked about this topic of audio branding or sonic branding before, and how you can leverage that in your business. It's been a little bit, so I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of just dive back into the audio world in general, Miles. But let's just deal with TikTok here. So interesting, TikTok, I think I'm going to say that they're one of the fastest, but I think that they are the fastest growing social media platform out there across the world. And it's not just kids anymore. I think a lot of people think about it still in terms of 13-year-old girls. It's still a lot of 13-year-old girls for sure. But,
and that's where all the platforms started. The kids pick
right.
it up first, and then it migrates to us old people.
That's 100%. Yeah.
That was Instagram. That was Facebook. That was every single one of these.
Certainly Snapchat. Yeah.
It's that stupid thing the kids are playing with, and then, a few years later, it's it's where everyone's at.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and
not
it's
to write it off.
No, and it's been a major player for businesses, especially small businesses, for at least the better part of 2 years now. I think how it is being a player is starting to shift. Early on in TikTok, it was all about organic reach, right? And that's where we were, telling people that, hey, if you really want to build, a following or an audience, that's your goal on social media, you got to go to a platform like this, where at least at that time, they had a much bigger audience than they did content creators, right? So the algorithm is completely shifted and inverted to where if you're a content creator and you're putting out a lot of content, you're going to get a lot of eyeballs, for free. And just like Maz was saying with the demographics, this is the same thing that happens on every social media platform, right? We all remember when Facebook was like this, when Instagram was like this, where you could just make a post and, man, not only did all of your followers see it, but people that didn't even follow you would see it, and it was really an incredible time. So that's what happens when you have a quote unquote emerging platform. Now we're seeing that it's becoming a more mature platform, and that there are there's still obviously more audience than there is content creators, but there's a lot more content creators than there used to be. And so there's more competition. It's simple supply and demand. And so you're going to have to, if you're a small business, you're probably going to have to invest some marketing dollars, to really leverage the platform the way you need to. Even if that doesn't mean paid marketing, you're probably going to have to invest some marketing into production strategy and things like that to get organic to where it needs to be. But either way, it's not a free lunch anymore. And so it is a part of a paid strategy now, and it needs to be treated just like another paid strategy platform, whether that be YouTube or Google or Facebook. And so what they're doing, to kind of help that maturization, is they're adding in some sound, right? They're adding in some ways that we could easily go in there and not only use our current creative, our current sonic branding, but actually create sonic branding in the platform, right? So this is ideal for an emerging new business, a small business, somebody that has a very limited marketing budget. We've talked before about jingles, and they're expensive, right? You're going to pay thousands of dollars for a 5-10 second jingle. A lot of small businesses can't do that. So I like that this is opening up that aspect to it. But again, we're going to have to see what is the cost factor involved in this, and that's going to be the interesting thing here, Miles. But I also just wanted to open this back up to sound and sonic and audio in general. We haven't talked about Clubhouse lately, Miles. I've been restraining myself. Okay. But I think that the effects that Clubhouse had on Silicon Valley and on social media and the digital landscape itself has really spread and grown into these other platforms. We look at what Facebook has done, where they basically ripped Clubhouse off. I mean, let's be honest, they stole it. And it's now integrated into their platform. I don't know if you spent any time in those rooms, Miles, but it is a very, very similar setup to how Clubhouse is. And Clubhouse itself has grown a lot. And of course, it's now all over the world. It's on Android, but they've put in a number of new features. They have now a direct, back channel where you don't have to use a third party like an Instagram or a Twitter to message with people. You can message people directly on the platform. They've really expanded the way that their clubs operate. They have a new feature now where you can cut audio out from a room if the admins of the room allow this feature to exist, and you could share that somewhere else. So if I'm listening to some really profound discussion, I can cut out 30 seconds of that and share it on my Facebook page or share it on my Twitter feed or something like that, and lead people back into the actual room in real time. So I can have some kind of cross-platform, but from
Cool.
Clubhouse exclusively, that ties them back to it. And so I think that it's just kind of been an awakening, if you will, to people across the industry of how important audio is, how important sonic branding is. And so it's just a reminder again to our audience, I think, this is something that you guys should be looking at. If you're sitting down and you're talking about what are we going to do next year, how are we going to do something different, how are we going to add on to our marketing plan, what's your audio strategy? What's your sonic branding strategy? Maybe that's something that you've been neglecting that you can dive into on any one of or all of these platforms, because now it's not just something like an emerging platform like Clubhouse. You have very established players in the game that are also leveraging audio. So Miles, any thoughts on that, or how, people could leverage, audio in their own app or on their website? We've talked before a little bit about that. But it's been a while, so I just kind of wanted to, or voice search, those are all topics that we talked about that people probably forget about because it's not top of mind.
Yeah, audio is a tricky one, just because it's not the first thing that you think of, and it's not really what a lot of the things that we use on a day-to-day basis are built for. If you think about your website, if you think about your Facebook page or something, you don't immediately think audio only content. In fact, you're most likely to go completely the other way with zero audio and just do a picture or some text or something. If there's any audio, it's with video. So it can be kind of tricky to pull off in a smooth, organic way and not just make it seem weird and forced. I think some of the easiest things to do in the sort of audio marketing world is podcasting, obviously. If you have you could do like what we're doing right now. We have our live stream, and then we release the audio version of this as a podcast as well. So if there's someone who prefers to just do an audio only or just wants to listen, then that's out there. But we're getting that media reuse in there. A podcast is a nice, easy one to do. You don't have to do one of the big, long form, professionally produced things that we're seeing out there all the time now in order to put something out. I mean, you can just put your thoughts out for 20 minutes and that's your podcast. So that's a pretty good, easy way to get started. You mentioned voice search. That is a new one. That's kind of the flip side of audio branding, where people are searching on Siri or Alexa or Google Home or one of those other virtual assistants and say, hey, I want pizza, order me a pizza. Siri, order me a pizza, or whatever it is. And you better be listed on that, because That's a growing section of the search ecosystem. It's been growing for years, but now, I mean, it's just like it's been doubling every few quarters as far as how many people are actually using those voice search features. Um, so that's right up there with getting yourself listed, getting your Google My Business listing out there, just existing on the business directories online, and then also making sure that you are explicitly listing yourself on these voice search platforms. A lot of them are kind of independent, and so you have to actually go to the platform. It's like maps. You've got to go to Apple Maps and list yourself there, and then go to Google Maps and list yourself there. It's not like you can just put a sign up in front of your building and then all of a sudden you exist on the internet. You've got to go to each one of these services and input your listing there and make sure that it has the proper information and knows how to categorize you, and therefore knows how to display you in search. So yeah, we could probably talk about voice search in a lot more depth, but as it applies to audio and sonic branding, yeah, I think that people need to use it a lot more than they are, even on those places that you're not necessarily thinking of at first. Like I said, if you're posting to Facebook, most likely you're posting an image or some text or maybe a video or something. But the number of times I'm on Facebook and I've got my headphones on and I'm just going through and I'm just listening to something. Someone posted a video or something like that, and I'm just listening to it. Like it's actually kind of a lot. So I think you'd be surprised if you just put up an audio file. We check our Facebook page. We've got a cool thing. What are those things called? I forget what it's called.
Audiograms?
Yeah, that's it. So it has this little voice, like sound animation on there, but it's just an audio thing. Some of them have the transcripts of what's being said so people can read it if they're on mute. But those are a really cool, unique piece of content that you can have generated fairly easy off of an audio file and then post that out there. That's another quick, easy way to get into some sonic branding.
100%. Yeah. And I won't bore everybody too much because we've gone over this before, but there are also numerous studies, and there's one study in particular, I forget, it's somewhere in Europe, I forget where it's out of, that is very, very well done and extensive though, that shows that people remember subliminally, almost audio more than any other medium. And they really remember, and they'll be able to recall, which is the important part, after time has passed, exactly what the message was, more than if they read it or if they watch a video or something like that. Audio is the most powerful recall in terms of the delivery method of your messaging. So, Miles,
hey, we all know that one jingle that we can't get out of our head. I think that we've
100%.
all fallen prey to that, and I mean that is just gold when it comes to advertising. If you can actually get your brand stuck in their head, or better yet, they're happy that it's stuck in their head because they like it.
Yeah.
Like that's powerful. That's incredibly powerful.
Yeah. I mean, that's how McDonald's sold Big Macs for years, right? They did literally for decades. Okay. Well, I know we got a meeting coming up at noon here, so maybe I will end it on one last one here, which really ties, I think, nicely into what we were just talking about, which is messaging. What are we going to say to people, right, when we're talking about our marketing or our advertising? And I always use the cliche that I'd rather say the right thing to the wrong person than the wrong thing to the right person. And what I mean by that is that messaging is the most important part of your marketing. It's not targeting. It's not even, the channel, or what platform you're using or what time of day you're posting or how many times you're posting or any of this other crap. None of that matters. What matters, I mean, that does matter, but it doesn't matter near as much as what am I saying to people, right? What is my message? So here we go. IAB, advertisers must prioritize utility over cleverness or lose out on a digital boom. Marketers must grapple with climbing consumer aversion to advertising, even as the larger digital market continues to see a healthy rebound, according to a new report by the Interactive Advertising Bureau, the AIB. Impatience with ads is particularly acute in digital video, one of the most promising formats for growth. Ad-free and ad-light media platforms have continued to take hold during the pandemic, resetting expectations. 4 times as many consumers prefer efficiency in ads compared to those who value messages that are fun or focused on brand image, per the research. I'm going to read that again because it's pretty important. 4 times as many consumers prefer efficiency in ads compared to those who value messages that are fun or focused on brand image. Meaning, stop talking about yourself, stop trying to be cute, and figure out what the customer wants, reverse engineer that, and put that forward first. That is what we got to do. The IMB recommended marketers prioritize utility, including reducing the number of clicks and accelerating the adoption of shoppable formats, we talked about earlier, that can provide a more holistic experience. Meaning, don't send everybody 3 different places to get one thing. Switching up strategies could be more imperative as the depreciation of cookies in 2023 and changes to mobile identifiers make it harder to target users in the traditional fashion. Okay, completely agree with all of this. We've become over-reliant on targeting with, the last 10 years with all the technology around cookies, that people just became obsessed with who we were going to target, how many times we were going to target, where we were going to target them, that we forgot about the importance of messaging. We forgot about crafting our message to the consumer's needs and wants and likes and interests and not our own. And we're going to have a hard crash back to reality, especially, we already are with the change in cookies, but it's going to completely go away within the next 18 months. The AAB and PwC's findings indicate that poor ad experiences could be a more significant risk to brands than regulatory considerations in the near term, though they also present a steep challenge that marketing organizations must contend with in the months ahead. A key friction is emerging where consumers continue to flock ad-free or ad-light environments, where brands have not optimized strategies for those platforms, leading to increased ad loads and greater irrelevance. Failing to account for changing consumer tastes could hinder a digital advertising market that is forecasted to reach $156 billion this year and $200 billion by 2025. Internet advertisers jumped 12.2% year over year. However, those double-digit gains for the category will be in peril if the industry does not make necessary improvements. I love this quote right here. Consumers want us to refocus on their needs, reimagine ad formats, and reinvent what advertising can be. David Cohen, CEO of IAB, said in a press statement, the next creative revolution needs to be about utility, not just cleverness. The paper warned against lift and shift approach, where 30-second ads for TVs are pared down to 6 seconds and expect to carry the same impact with digital viewers. At the same time, the content of marketing messaging needs to be re-triggered. The data is a clarion call for acceleration of shoppable formats and other formats that will allow the consumer to experience, explore, query, and purchase, said Sue Hogan, Senior Vice President of Research and Analytics for the AAB. The advertisers and their agency would be wise to look at the innovations in publishing that focus on anticipating consumers' needs and shrinking the number of clicks to provide what consumers want. Brilliant. Digital advertising needs the same kind of intent and reinvention to thrive or risk losing scale. Miles, if I could stand and applaud, I would. I mean,
Are you sure you didn't write this article?
Yeah, these guys just nailed it on the head there. Congrats to David and Susan in the AIB. So there was a lot there. Let me just paraphrase it, and I'll send it back to you for a reaction. But yeah, it's basically that, ad fatigue, right? People are becoming, there's more ads out there all the time. People are becoming let's say, more resilient to them is a good way to think about it. And so they don't really care about you. They don't really care about your brand imaging. They don't really care about your cute little funny joke that you're trying to make. If it's not what's in it for me, right? If I can't determine that in probably the first 3 to 7 seconds, they're out, and they're certainly not going to remember it if they do see the whole ad. And so what we need to do is we need to refocus our shift to really, really hone in on what those consumers' needs are and create, innovative ways in order to bring that out and engage with them on a platform that we can draw them into where they can do business with us one-to-one and not have to jump through hoops as we were talking about earlier. Miles, what do you think?
I love it. I'm tired of seeing all of these stupid ads where I have to figure out what the hell the company even is by the end of it. It's completely unrelated to them. They're just trying to be cool and jump on some sort of trend that they have understand, or trying to make a joke or something like that. It's nice to be clever, but in this case, I think that what's the phrase? Form has to follow function, where those things can be nice tools, good joke or some nice jingle there at the end. We were just talking about Sonic branding. All of those things are tools in your belt, but the primary goal has to be that function of, tell the customer or the potential customer, tell this person who you are, what you're doing, and what they can get out of it. That still has to be the primary thing. So if you have that really powerful core message, and then maybe you find a creative way to deliver it, you find a cute way to deliver it, a funny way to deliver it, something like that, that's all well and good, but we can't forget that core of everything, which I think what you were saying there is that we kind of have. We've gotten lazy with our advertising, and with all the tools at our disposal, we've just been grabbing the next shiny thing and leveraging certain targeting techniques to the point where it's become a crutch here. And we've got to get back to having that strong core at the beginning, and then leveraging whatever tools are at our disposal to deliver it in a more effective way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Miles, if we could we put that article down in the comment section, link to it, because I really want everybody to read it. I thought it was pretty important
IAB
stuff.
article?
Yes, yeah. It says AAB advertisers must prioritize utility over cleverness. Yeah.
I will throw that in the comments for anyone who happens to be watching this later.
Yeah,
you can check it out yourself.
I think that's a good spot for us to end on it. Really, really important lesson there coming out of the AIB that I hope everybody heeds. And again, like Miles was saying, it's not that you want to take all creative, ness out of your advertising. Yeah, you can. There's still plenty of room to be creative, but you have to keep the utilitarian aspect front and center. It doesn't mean that you can't surprise the broker, at the beginning and, kind of shock somebody into getting their attention, but then it needs to be immediately followed up with what's in it for them. So, yeah, important stuff there, Miles. All right. I think that's it for me today, but I appreciate you talking about this stuff with me, Miles. There was some good lessons to be had out of the news this past week.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we'll wrap up this, the first of our Monday live streams, and we'll try this for a little bit. I
don't know about the whole Monday thing. I don't know. I feel like the energy level was about here, and it's usually about like here. We got to get the juices going. So we'll see.
Right, well,
I'll try to take it up a notch. Yeah.
Let us know what you think in the comments below. We'll be watching those later. Or you can also email us at askwildman@wildmanweb.com. We'll answer your questions there. We'll just reply to you an email, or we can use your question as our subject matter for next week's live stream, as we're doing this again next week, next Monday at 11 a.m. Make sure to check in on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, or follow us at Wildman Web, and we will see you again next week. Mike, thank you very much. All right. And we will see you next week. Thanks.